Hey, what's going on? Jeff Ratcliffe here. It's fantasy draft season. That means we got to talk about draft strategy. And I want to talk about the wide receivers right now. You've probably heard of different strategies over the last couple seasons at the wide receiver position. Probably the most popular, most talked about, something called zero RB. Now that essentially means you're not drafting running backs in the early rounds of your drafts. You're not drafting zero running backs. You're just not drafting them in the early rounds of your drafts. This was a strategy that was very successful in 2015, and then people tried it in 2016. It was widely popular in 2016 fantasy drafts, and you know what? It failed miserably. There were a lot of folks out there who tried it and drafted DeAndre Hopkins and Allen Robinson, and those guys went bust that year. Of course, Hopkins bounced back in a big way. We'll see with Robinson this year. However, what I always say is when everybody in your league is doing something, it isn't a strategy. It's just status quo. So it really wasn't a strategy so much as it was just the draft trend. When zero RB actually works is, believe it or not, in a year like this. This year is a running back premium year. You're going to see 9, if not 10 running backs in a 12-team draft selected in the first round. PPR standard doesn't matter. These guys are coming off the board. Well, with running backs moving up draft boards in terms of ADP, that means wide receivers move down, which means you get very good value. You could, in theory, you could have a situation where you may be able to draft somebody like DeAndre Hopkins and then turn around and get somebody like AJ Green and then turn around and get somebody like T.Y. Hilton. Those are 3 wide receiver ones in the first, second, third rounds. That is zero RB to a T. With everybody prioritizing running back, this is going to happen this year. Now, this is a strategy that is not for the faint of heart. So if you're going to execute this, here's what you need to keep in mind. Don't wait too long at running back. So if you spend your first 3-round picks on wide receivers, right after that, in the 4th round, you're going to have to start hammering running back. And I don't just mean, well, I'm going to draft one in the 4th, and maybe I'll come back in the 6th or 7th. No, I mean 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Automatic, hammer it, get as many of those guys as you can, because your goal with this strategy is you don't have to hit on all those guys. And you're not going to hit on all those guys. Nobody does. Nobody hits on every single player. But you have to hit on at least 1 and hopefully 2. And if you build your board the right way, you may be able to do that. But like I said, that's a strategy that isn't for the faint of heart, though we do talk about that over at ProFootballFocus.com. So if you want more information, go check that out. However, if you just want to go with what ultimately a lot of folks are doing this year, which is an easier approach, but it's also an effective one. Don't think that it isn't. You're going to go RB premium early. That's fine. I'm doing that in a lot of drafts right now too. Totally fine. The beauty to going running back premium early is there are lots of pockets of value in the draft at the wide receiver position. It's the opposite of running back. You don't have that at running back. There is not value. Once you get later in the draft, you're going to see running back falls off a cliff. Well, you hear that every year. This year, falls off multiple cliffs. It gets really bad really quickly. But at wide receiver, I don't think the same thing. So say you come out of the first 3 rounds and you have 2 running backs and 1 wide receiver or something like that. Well, in rounds 4 and 5, you have lots of value to potentially get. Here are some of the names you may see there. Allen Robinson, Josh Gordon, Larry Fitzgerald, who's had 100-plus catches in each of the last 3 seasons. He's getting up there in age, but doesn't really matter. Demaryius Thomas, Golden Tate, Alshon Jeffrey, Amari Cooper, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marvin Jones, Brandon Cooks, Jarvis Landry. Would you take these guys? Of course you would. You're setting yourself up for some good value if you go running back premium early. After that, again, another pocket of value in the 6th and 7th rounds. You can get guys like Chris Hogan. You can get guys like Robert Woods. You can get guys like Randall Cobb, who's the number 2 receiver in Green Bay. When's the last time that you saw the number 2 receiver in Green Bay go in the 6th or 7th round of fantasy drafts? I can't remember, right? It's been so long. You're getting Randall Cobb at a nice value. Corey Davis, an upside guy, is in this group. Devin Funchess coming off a strong year, upside guy with Will Fuller. And more names. I'm not getting to everybody here in these groups. More pockets of value. Rounds 8 to 10, you have value again. Guys like Devontae Parker, Robbie Anderson, Deshaun Jackson always gets overlooked. Kenny Stills, Sterling Shepard, Allen Hurns could be the number 1 in Dallas. You're getting a number 1 receiver for a team. in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, probably 10th round. Even later, if you still want to grab value, you can at wide receiver. That's the beauty to this year. You'll have late round guys like Tyler Lockett, like Cameron Meredith, who's now in New Orleans, gets to play with Drew Brees. Now it's more run heavy there, but he's in a good situation. DJ Moore, an exciting rookie. Josh Doxson, upside for Washington. Calvin Ridley, an exciting rookie. Paul Richardson, also upside with Washington. Anthony Miller, an exciting rookie. It's a great year to get value at wide receiver. So I think if you're bold enough, you could execute zero RB, but it has to be the right situation. You're not going to execute zero RB if you have the first overall pick. You're taking Todd Gurley, you're taking Le'Veon Bell. But if the draft works out that you take a wide receiver in the first round, you may want to think about it. Otherwise, go running back premium and draft for value at wide receiver in all of those different spots. You're going to dominate your draft with that strategy. What's your strategy at wide receiver this year? Let's hear from you in the comments below. Of course, subscribe to the channel for more fantasy videos from us. And for all of your fantasy football needs, go check us out at ProFootballFocus.com.